This is Begin Transmission, an original web series produced by the LITA blog. Each episode features a lively conversation and the opportunity to learn something new. I'm your host, Lindsay Kronk. This is David Bowie. And today we're joined by my fellow LITA blogger, Marlon Hernandez. Marlon, you work at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. That's super cool. What's it like?
Hello. Well, it's a great place, not only as a work environment, since we get to see a bunch of scientists that would like to research throughout the various fields. Like, we not only have engineers, but we also have scientists, and we also have just everyday technicians. So the requests can come in from just about all angles, including Freedom of Information Acts, from people who want to know if there's a spacecraft above them.
Whoa!
Yeah, there are questions we get here
That's
every
totally
day.
Crazy.
To come out of the left field most of the time. But this also comes up with great perks because you get to see firsthand some of the some instruments being built, or when the announcements come in, or even getting emails from Charlie Bolden is really, really amazing.
That's wild.
But yeah, I enjoy all aspects of working here. So it's been a great, I think I'm about 8 years working here now.
That's crazy. Now, how did you get involved with sort of library science though, and how did you start to get involved with LITA? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so with library science, it kind of came from my background. I started working at a public library for 2.5 years, and we served a large Latino immigrant population. And I'm a Guatemalan immigrant, and I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. So it was easy for me to connect with the community. And one of my greatest passions while working there was actually connecting them with technology, get them to use computers, and tell them which websites they need to use, showing them how to translate web pages was like a big breakthrough for them once I showed them that. And so I started seeing how they can engage with the information on their own once I started telling the technology. I also have a small background in technology. I was a computer science major for the first year or so in college before I switched. But just merging technology and information together for the patrons just really brought me to this forefront where I want to get more involved in library technology once I started going into my career. And working here at JPL, that also further engineering, because people started expecting much quicker resolution of their URLs or forms that auto-populate, catalogs that were a bit smarter on what they actually needed, and more like, the Google experience on the search engines. So optimizing all of our websites and databases for that really got me more towards library technology. I wanted to see what others were going into. So that's how I got into LITA. Actually, I started trying to follow their listservs and blogs to see what solutions they were coming up with that could help me in my everyday job. So it's really helped me out. I haven't had a chance to go to the conference just yet, but
I hope you get to the forum. It's in my state this year, so you take the opportunity to visit Houston, the Clear Lake area, see your NASA brethren there.
Yeah, definitely, and that's what I really, really want to push. We get more travel, although since the budget cuts, travel here has been kind of reduced so dramatically, where you got to be at a higher range in order to get that. But yeah, I really like to get more involved with LITA as a whole, and also ALA.
Definitely, I agree. You talked a little bit about translating websites, sort of the hands-on pieces that you learned while you were at the public library. But in terms of what you're doing now, is there like a technology tool or an app that you use all the time, something that you'd love to share with our audience?
Yeah, I actually have two. So one's more for personal use because all the latest hacks, my information has been compromised across so many portals, like not only Microsoft, Google, not even Google, Sony, and even at work, NASA, they lost most of my information. So I got really into security of accounts. So I started compartmentalizing them into separate logins for each and two-factor authentication. So I use LastPass to keep track of all this. And since my work email also has its own accounts that it's linked to, they all have their own complex passwords that I do at least 15 characters for with special.
Nice.
So I had all these websites, all these passwords, and LastPass just makes it easier to put them into one section. And with their mobile, I can keep it on my phone. And since I have two-factor turned on, I have the only master key to it, or so that's what I like to think.
That's great.
But the other one is my job is really geared towards more design work. So coming up with posters, coming up with flyers, handouts, website design, all that. So I've started embracing more design programs, although we can afford InDesign and their monthly fee. I found lucidpress.com, which actually has this great introductory for .edu and also for students, teachers. So I've been using that to making just basic wireframes or coming up with layouts before I take them to another programs. Because it's got this great grid snapping to the line boxes, multiple layers, just basic functions that you need. But that does not offer it on the MS Paint or anything like that.
And as much as I love MS Paint, you can't use it all the time.
Exactly.
There's like a novelty aspect to it that works in some cases, but not everyone. Those are two really good suggestions, Marlon. Is there anything you talked about LastPass, that aspect of the privacy security? I know that that's a very hot topic in librarianship right now. Is there any new technology that particularly excites you in that area or another area?
Not really for the privacy, because here we're more of a special library, so we're kind of open our data into our patron information because they want to share that. So we don't really deal with that much of the privacy. But for technology-wise, what really excites me is more like microcomputers, like Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, agree.
I love having a full-fledged computer at a fraction of the cost that can just be completely modified for what you need. So from here, I'm trying to come up with like a patron terminal that, for the most part, if we have it through NASA, it's going to require somebody to log in with authenticated JPL using password, and they'll have different different network restrictions. Well, what I'm trying to build is something that's just a public terminal. It doesn't require a login. That's completely in its own little nest. And the Raspberry Pi is only $35 for the latest one. Yeah, we have a 3D printer, so I can print the case, and all I need is a cheap little monitor, and then we'll have it going. And it's just up to me to program it. So that's been more of the interesting part. I do a lot of research into this part.
Yeah.
But it just seems to be,
so cool.
As long as you have the time and dedication for it, you can do whatever you want with it. So it's been taking me like 2-3 weeks to vet some of the solutions I found. I'm hoping to roll it out by summer. But the more the costs come down, the better hardware it is. It seems that you can just create your own little devices that have great hardware, as opposed to putting like an obsolete machine that nobody's using as your patron terminal.
Yeah.
Or you going through a vendor for software, you can just create the simple little code on GitHub and then just pull it down whenever you need it.
Just snag someone else's code too and mod it when you need it.
Exactly.
I love that part too. I think it's so great. Affordable technology is definitely, it's so exciting right now. It's a really exciting time to be in technology. I would agree. Is there a skill though? You talked a little bit about how you're programming the Raspberry Pi, creating this terminal. Is there a skill that you would encourage, young people, maybe not in library school, but getting into the profession, that you think would be useful for sort of any area getting in?
Oh, certainly. Like I would say just basic understanding of programming syntax. Like just starting off with learning something that's more of the easier languages like HTML and PHP, and you get to see how this coding actually works together. It just opens up so many other areas. So like even the command line, or Whitney Watkins, she wrote a great piece on it where it just showing you the basic information on how to access more of a power user type of thing for your own computer. But just knowing what the commands are actually led me to get on GitHub a lot easier. Like I saw some of the functions, like, okay, this makes a lot more sense because it's on a command line. And just throughout my program, I just recently got my master's in information science.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But knowing PHP from work, I was actually able to use that in our MS Access assignments and also our information architecture class assignments. It's just kind of branched off where I just had one little language that I knew pretty well, and then I could just catch on to everything else. So yeah, learning the basics of syntax helped you tremendously throughout it.
I agree. I think that's a really good, solid recommendation. Now, as we sort of come to the close of our interview here, Marlon, if someone wanted to learn more about what you do, more about the work you're doing, where would they find you? Should they look for you on GitHub? I know you're on Twitter. Any sort of public-facing pieces you'd like to share with the audience today?
Yeah, I've been slow to update it, but I have a personal site at mr-hernandez.com, and that hosts my running blog that I used to maintain when I had free time before the program. It has past projects that I worked both at school and at JPL, and also it contains some of the LITA posts that I've written. So it also has links to any other social media profile that I have. So if people want to contact me on Twitter, Google Plus, or anything else, I have it linked in there.
Sounds great. Marlon, it's been such a pleasure getting to know you a little bit better today. And I look forward to your upcoming blog posts. You have a really interesting perspective.
Thanks. I had a lot of fun.